Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to Resolve to Live Forward. This is John. I hope you're having a good day. I hope that you'll reach out to me and communicate with me. More about that a little bit later. Welcome to today's episode, and I've got my notes here with me and everything. So I just want to be sure I get it all correct. By the way, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, this podcast is always published, unless there are extenuating circumstances, every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. So if you're actually catching this as it has just launched on several different podcast platforms, it has been put out at around the 12 noon time Eastern, in this particular case, Eastern Daylight Time on the 10th day of July, 2026. By the way, numerically speaking, mathematically speaking, we are now at the halfway point, a little more than halfway through a calendar year, and it boggles the mind. So glad you could join us. This podcast is made possible by Buzzsprout podcast hosting platform. It's put out across Spotify as well as the Apple Store and a handful of other podcast platforms. I also upload this podcast because I'm doing a video of it as I am recording the audio, and I put it on my YouTube channel. And eventually it will automatically stream from the Buzzsprout platform to YouTube as well. But that's something that I have to plan for from a financial point of view, because services like this from technologies that continue to just blow my mind, uh, they do have a cost associated with them. And I am not currently having enough viewers who are watching it on YouTube or people who are following it on places like Spotify and the Apple Store, as well as other podcast platforms. So from a financial point of view, I still am not self-supporting, or at least not supported by the followers that I have. I hope to eventually reach that point, but I'm just thankful to be here with you. Resolve to live forward. Resolve to live forward. It's a decision. It's a choice. I've been doing a series of messages. This entire process began in April, and it will continue as we go through this journey over the course of hopefully the next, a total of 6 months. And so here we are in July, and we've done April, May, and June. So we're more than halfway through that process, just as we are now more than halfway through the year. This episode today, as I look at it here, is the person in the mirror, becoming someone you respect. The person in the mirror, becoming someone that you respect. And if there's a subtitle, it goes simply that character is built one choice at a time. Yep, character is interesting thing. We all, I think, strive to do the right kinds of things, and in moments of, what would you say, wanting to be noble, to rise, to be higher, to be thought of more importantly, we will say, yeah, I can do that, or I want to do that, or I will commit to doing something like that. But then at the end of the day, there's always stuff that happens and those circumstances get in the way, and then we don't follow through. I say this because there is a phrase, and it reads something like this: success isn't something that you achieve, it's someone you become. I'll say that again. Success isn't something you achieve, it's someone that you become. Hmm. I'll look at it this way. Every morning, each of us eventually stands in front of a mirror. Usually for me, it's the one in the bathroom. We notice our hair. I notice the wrinkles that I've got. I see the changes that are happening right there in front of me. They are real-time changes, and it comes with the fact of my age. Those listening who have not seen my face, you might think to yourself, who is this guy? Where's he coming from? Does he look like he sounds? When I was in broadcast training while in college, I remember visiting some of the local television and radio stations, and in particular, one of the radio stations, which was a very popular station, perhaps maybe the most important and number one station in the city where I was going to college. I had listened to the station. You got to remember the context. It's the early 1970s. That in and of itself is a very, very tumultuous time in the history of the United States. But in this particular case, having heard many of the personalities on the radio, but never having met them before, I had the opportunity to meet the newscaster for this radio station. Had this incredible booming deep voice. And if you go by voice only, having not seen this person physically, you would think he's a big, tall mountain of a man. In reality, he was shorter than me, about 5'5". He might have been soaking wet, 130 pounds. And out of that tiny, diminutive body came a voice that commanded your attention. Looks can be deceiving, but if you don't see something, you really don't know it for what it is. So age really shows up if you see us. And at age 76, I have a few more wrinkles than I used to have. And if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, then you know for certain I have a few more wrinkles than I'm used to. Over the years, I've discovered something. The most important reflection isn't the one that looks back at us from the glass. The most important reflection is the one that lives inside the character that we choose to exhibit on a day-by-day basis. That was the younger me. I don't have any criticism for me. If I knew then what I know now, I think I would have done things differently. But when I was younger, I thought success was measured by what it was that I accomplished, and even thought that success was a lot to do with who you know. And I realize having friends, particularly influential friends, is special. Think about that. Who you know and what you accomplish in career, in the acquiring of recognition, in the accumulation of resources that gives you a degree of financial security, and being a person who's busy. Now, that last point still speaks to who I am today. I'm as busy, perhaps, as I have ever been. I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but there are commitments that I make for the day. I have commitments for this particular day, Friday, and I already have on my calendar a schedule of things that I'm doing tomorrow, on Saturday, on Sunday, and several things already lined up for the course of next week here in the month of July. But these days, I ask a different kind of question as I think about these commitments and how I'm being changed. Am I becoming someone that I respect? These days, I ask a different question. Am I becoming someone that I respect? Huh. Let's talk about that. Here's insight number one. Character is not inherited. Don't recoil on that. I was raised by incredible parents, incredible character in these individuals. My mother and father were both born during the Great Depression. My dad, just before the beginnings of the Great Depression, he was born in 1927. My mother was born in 1932. Now, both are deceased. Dad died in 2010. Mom died in 2022. But they were people of incredible character, but their lives were shaped by the circumstances they were raised in, and they were raised poor, and yet they had incredible character. But that character was developed through the course of living as they were confronted with the facts of life, the struggles that occur in living, and the decisions that they made, the choices that they made based upon a value system that was inculcated into their life by, as far as I'm concerned, incredible parents. Character is not inherited, it's practiced. No one accidentally becomes trustworthy. No one becomes compassionate by nature. We are not naturally courageous, although as children, I know we have a tendency to think that we're indestructible. But the truth is, as it relates to who we are today and who we will continue to become, character grows through making repeated choices and hopefully making the right choices, which brings me to insight number 2. Your circumstances reveal the kind of character that you have, but they also shape it. Grief has taught me about loss. And through loss, I learned compassion. I had compassion, but I learned compassion in a much more in-depth manner. Failure, and I've had many, taught me humility, and it also taught me to know that failure in and of itself doesn't have to be an end. And serving has taught me gratitude, although I still fail sometimes at getting the service aspect of it correct. But service is something I'm grateful for the opportunity to do, and I get the chance to do it and follow through. Some of the qualities that I value most today are these very, very things. We develop these things during seasons, and many of these seasons are events that I did not choose to go into. They were chosen for me by the circumstances of life. That's the thing about life. You can pick to a certain extent, but you can't pick everything. So that brings us to insight number 3. Becoming who you are, becoming what you're going to be to other people and in this life, it's a lifelong matter. It's a lifelong decision. It's a lifelong progress. Again, I said I'm 76. So I am the accumulation of over 76 years of personal experience. Some people believe personal growth would actually have an expiration date, and I have to tell you that's not true. Our lives have an expiration date. We will see the date, and we may not realize it, but the world will see the date when we no longer exist. We only exist in memory. I disagree with the idea that there's an expiration date. At 76, I have come to accept the fact that I'm still under construction. I was reminded of a song written several decades ago by Bill and Gloria Gaither, who are Christian music authors. And in that song, the lyrics go like this, talking about God. They said, He's still working on me to make me what I ought to be. It took him just a week to make the moon and the stars, the sun and the earth and Jupiter and Mars. How loving and patient he must be because he's still working on me. Well, whether you are a person of faith or not, the lyrics have meaningfulness because we're under construction. Which brings me to insight number 4. Your future is built based upon the choices that you make today. Let this be the most important thing that I tell you. Your future is built upon the choices that you make today. So think about it for a second. You know my power word, resolve. And you know that in the acronym, what the letters, those 7 letters in resolve, RESOLVE mean. But think about it for a second. Your future is built based upon choices. Every resilient decision, every act of service, every moment of learning, and every expression of enthusiasm is quietly shaping the person that you are becoming and will continue to become. Four amazing insights. Would you agree? But the application goes something like this. Today, you are becoming more patient, perhaps. Are you? Are you more curious? Are you more forgiving? Are you less self-centered? Are you more courageous? Are you more generous with not just your resources, but with your time? Are you not perfect? Not as in, are you not perfect? Yeah, we're flawed. But with the right choices each and every single day, we become better. We become better. The world's not looking for the perfect human being. It's looking for the human being who shows up the best they can in the moment that they are needed to show up. We need to encourage one intentional act at a time. Choose one quality today that you would like to strengthen while you are about the business of living each and every single day, choosing to live forward. Just one. Choose one quality you'd like to strengthen and then make the decision to live that quality. Now I'm going to talk about something that I still struggle with, but only because it's a disruptive force in our lives. None of us gets to choose every circumstance that happens to us. None of us gets to choose every circumstance. We can try. If we are really obsessive, and sometimes that can be a negative, we try to make sure we choose the best possible outcomes for ourselves all the time. But at the end of the day, the truth is there are things that happen. Let me share with you a story for just a second here before I move through this process. I live in a house that this month just turned 100 years old as far as when it was actually structurally built. It was built in 1926. The frame, the bones are still pretty solid. The house has had its share of things that have caused it to weaken, to deteriorate, to damage. Nothing lasts forever. And I've had a number of remodeling projects done, a number of things that have been replaced, repaired, or completely and totally gotten rid of. But in my bathroom, I have a relatively, and if this is too much information, I apologize. I have a relatively new toilet. I say new, I probably had it for about 5, 6 years. Good toilet too, one of those low flow toilets. And the interesting thing about it is that when I had the toilet installed, I didn't take and replace the water access hose that comes from the main water line and goes into the tank. Therefore, then going up into the flush or the fluid master or the flow master that I have in the tank. And what happened over time is that through the process of obsolescence, it began to wear out. And the other day, and thank God I was home because the connecting piece to the tank finally just sort of cracked and separated. And suddenly, water coming from the line outside into the tank was flowing into the bathroom and spraying up on the wall. And there was water everywhere. The flow of the water was so strong that there was even water dripping off of the low ceiling in the bathroom. Well, that's one of the things about circumstances. I had to do something I didn't plan to do, didn't want to do, did not even have on my radar. But I did take the appropriate action. And before things got far more serious, I stopped the water running into the tank. The next thing that I did is I paused to begin to realize I should be thankful. Imagine if that had happened while I was away from the house. And I remind myself of that. So, yes, even though it was something I did not choose to have happen, it was a circumstance that I didn't want. I was able to take action, do something about it, and I was thankful that the timing allowed me to be in place where, as it happened immediately, I was able to take action immediately. Every day, we're doing things that shape our character. And part of also the shaping of our character is looking at the experiences that we've had and drawing from that well of experience. We use it to help us make better choices. So when we continually, every day, make choices that help to shape our character, the day will come when that character is actually our legacy. Have you ever thought about legacy? Have you ever thought about what message do you want to leave, not just for your children and your loved one, but for your friends and for even the people that were your casual acquaintances? Do you want to leave a legacy that when you are remembered, you are thought of with a smile? There's a fondness there, and even a genuine sense of, gosh, I miss that person. I've had people of legacy in my life throughout these 76 years, and I continue to have people come into my life. It's an incredible thing to watch how people can shape you. But don't make the mistake of thinking you are not possibly shaping the lives of others. So you need to ask yourself that hard question. What it is that I'm doing today? What is it that I'm doing today that is shaping a legacy that leaves people thankful for the fact that they had the opportunity to meet me? The greatest accomplishment of your life may not be something that you achieve, but it rather will be the person that you become. Too many people, and I don't object to this, we've been enjoying the World Cup. I developed a fondness, not a strong passion for, but a fondness for what we call in America soccer. But the rest of the world calls it the beautiful game, football. And with the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup taking place here in North America, with venues in Mexico, the United States, and Canada, we've had the opportunity to play host to the nations of the world. 48 of them came. And as they came over here, one of the things that has been interesting is looking at these incredible athletes who are soccer stars. They are legends. Think about Kylian Mbappe of France, Lionel Messi of Argentina, Harry Kane of Great Britain, just to name three that I have a great affinity for and love watching them. And I'm an incredibly amazed skill set. And they have a legacy because they will go down in history as some of the greatest to ever play the game, along with people like Pele. And I remember Pele in particular for Brazil, but that was a long time ago. But here's the thing. The greatest accomplishment of your life may not be something that you achieve, but rather the person that you become. And that's where it is less about the laurels that you have and more about the seeds that you planted in the lives of the people that you met. When you look in the mirror tomorrow morning, don't ask only, what do I see? ask, who am I becoming? What difference is that making in the lives of people that matter to me? Yes, we really, really do need to ask ourselves the question sometimes, who is that person in the mirror? I believe it was Michael Jackson who actually asked that question in a song years ago. I'm looking at the man in the mirror, asking him the questions, asking her the questions. The key thing again has always been the person in the mirror. Is that someone you respect? I believe if you don't respect yourself first, it will be very, very difficult to get people to respect you. But if you choose the right kind of character and live the right kind of life in front of people, you will look at that man or woman in the mirror and you will have a great sense of confidence that you are doing the right things. A meaningful life is built intentionally, one courageous decision at a time, one genuine conversation at a time, one act of service at a time, one day at a time. That concludes the episode. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to ask you to leave a comment, perhaps, maybe, if comments are available to be left on the podcast platform or particularly on my YouTube channel. I'm going to invite you to email me. I always open myself up for risk, but if you want to talk with me, because there's something about the idea of living forward and understanding the concept that living forward is a choice. So therefore, you have to choose, or as I say, resolve to live forward, as is the title of this podcast. You may email me. Now, my website, which is currently in need of some attention, is johnmorrowcoaching.com. johnmorrowcoaching.com. But the Gmail address that I provide is John Morrow Coaching. It's all lowercase, johnmorrowcoaching@gmail.com. So I would appreciate you emailing me and take the time to share your personal experience. Take the time to offer me some guidance on perhaps a topic that I might be able to touch on that's meaningful to you. If you email, it does let me know that you've taken the trouble to listen and now you're responding, and that will be great. And it's interesting, but if you're watching my YouTube channel, you can actually like it and you can subscribe to it. And YouTube will note that. As I said, I don't have hardly any followers. I'm just each and every single day going about doing this particular messaging to a specific group of people out there who are in a place in life where they've experienced great loss and great personal devastation, and they're just finding the way to live forward. So remember that my message is not just about grief, although a lot of the messages have been very heavy on the grief component because that really is at the crux of who I am since my wife died in 2019. But grief has become for me a doorway to the real message, and the real message is about a life that is built with intentionality. That's why this particular program is called Resolve to Live Forward. I appreciate you joining me. It's been a pleasure. I hope that this first weekend after our 4th of July weekend will be a great weekend for you. There's several things on my schedule. I'm looking forward to them. And by the grace of God, if I'm allowed to see the light of day, I look forward to engaging, participating, being productive, and having a good time. And I wish that for you as well. If you are going through a struggle right now, I remind you that the framework of Resolve, RESOLVE, and the 7 behaviors attached to those 7 letters can be a structure that will give you the capacity through intentional decision making, which is never easy when you are struggling. But if you do these personal best practices, I assure you, based upon my personal experience, they will help you to begin to transform your life. And really, that's what I'm all about, the opportunity to help you encounter transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Resolve to Live Forward. I'm John Morrow. As we bring this program to a close, I want to remind you, as I always say, please, 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 always remember, choose, resolve, live forward, and don't dwell on the past. Let the past be the teaching mechanism to equip you for greater success. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you again at this time next week. Bye-bye.